Welcome to the Two-Way Street podcast with Rick Harris of Work Boot Consulting and Rob Berry of St. Louis Bath and Renovations. Our aim is to bridge the gap between contractors and consumers. Remember, communication is always a two-way street.
Welcome to the Two-Way Street podcast with my good friend Rob Berry. I'm Rick Harris of Work Boot Consulting, and today I wanted to talk about stress and how it can affect you mentally, how it can affect you physically, and how you can let it get away from you. And as a former contractor, stress that I had at certain times was like a ton of bricks on my back. I remember coming home when I was a business owner, and I'd just taken on a new business with my brother. We had partnered up, and we were running the family business, and that we had bought from our dad. And I came home and I burst into tears. I thought it was in over my head. I didn't know what I was doing. I felt like the stupidest guy in the world. And that stress, I still remember that feeling, that just feeling of just despair. And it wasn't that the business was going bad, it was going well, but I just felt overwhelmed, the stress of trying to keep up. Can you relate, Rob, at all to that kind of stress?
If we talk about stress, that's going to stress me out.
That's right. But you just finished a flip house, right? You just finished a big rental.
Yeah. We're a full service contractor. We focus on bathrooms, though, and master suites and tying the old with the new. Our main focus is bathrooms, definitely. But
Yeah.
it would be easier for me to tell you what I don't know how to do versus what we do. And
Right.
We had a great opportunity to purchase a flip house that was gutted on the inside. Outside was totally done, other than what we needed to modify, but outside was done. Inside was gutted, had most of the electric was run, but we even gutted the old ductwork. Everything. We tore it down. So we like to say it's a brand new 91-year-old house. And so it's finished now. It's on the market. Had an offer actually today. And so we've got 3 more showings coming up. But this is not an advertisement for our flip house. This is a show about stress. And how did I handle the stress of doing a flip house along with fixing Mr. and Mrs. Jones' house and everybody else? We handled it in our slow season, and we did different things that allowed us to not be overwhelmed. I'm built for what I do, physically and mentally. That doesn't mean that I'm stress free. That doesn't mean that I don't have things in my life. But I knew at 19 that I was going to be self-employed, and I'm very fulfilled with what I do. Does it have its ups and downs? Absolutely. I'm under no false pretenses of what things are coming, what's come our way, and just blah blah blah. I know how to deal with that. So I knew that it was very good timing for us to do that. But do you have stress in your life that you think could be prevented or should be preventable, or you think somebody's given too much stress in your life and you want to get rid of some of that? I mean, you have to take a hard look at it and dissect that and see what's your fault, what's your responsibility, and how do you. We've spoken on different podcasts of ours here about expectations. It's okay for you to speak your expectations, especially if somebody's in your face all the time. Hey, that thing you're talking to me about, fine, but here's what I'm hearing. Here's what I think you're wanting from me, and how do we reduce the stress of that? Everybody needs to deal with stress proactively, because if not, if we deal with stress in the reactive, it's probably not going to go very well.
No, and a lot of I'm not going to talk about world factors and things that are sometimes beyond your control. And the saying was, if you're worried about what's going on in the world, was said to me, think globally, act locally. And that's how you can affect change, on a global scale. So, but when we're talking about the day-to-day things, the day-to-day, you said it before, and choices. So, if you're constantly stressed out because you're late, that's a choice. It's a choice
Set
to
the
be late.
alarm 15 minutes earlier.
It's a choice to be late. So you identify as somebody who's always late. That's how you choose to present to the world. I hate being late, so I just make sure that I've got enough time. Am I always on time? No. Most of the time that I'm late, but that's my fault. It's nobody else's fault. Whether it's traffic, whether it's snow or whatever. If I'm late, I can't just blame it on the snow. But if the road was closed, if there was no way to get to where I was going on any path, then yeah, I mean that's out of my control. So that's one way of looking at it. So if you're stressed out about, we were talking about contractors and consumers, if you're stressed out that your client is mad at you because the job is taking too long or it didn't go the way they anticipated, it's because you chose wrong along the way. Somewhere in your process, something is wrong, something is broken, or you did everything you possibly could, but you just chose the wrong client, which means that, yeah, your process is broken, because if you had vetted this client properly, you would not have these issues. If you're a consumer and you're stressed out that your contractor is traipsing through your house with the boots on, leaving mud all over the place, and trashing everything in your backyard, it's maybe because you chose the cheapest one, the one that was on Craigslist or wherever they showed up. So a lot of the stress can be avoided on that level. The other thing that can happen as a business owner, there are things that are beyond your control, and that's the economy. You can be chugging along, doing extremely well, doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, and work dries up, it evaporates. The stress of, I think the most stressful thing about, there are two things that are there, the constant stress for contractors and trades business owners: money and jobs. You don't have jobs, you don't have money. New work isn't coming in, you don't have money. And they go hand in hand. There are some times when you cannot control what happens. Perfect example right now. So I had a price to replace the fence in the backyard, and guy came in, told me how much it was going to be. This was back in the fall when I was thinking about doing it, and then I said, no, let's just hold off till the spring. He sent me a message, hey, just to let you know, with everything going on right now, and it's March of 2025 with the tariffs that could be imposed on between U.S. and Canada, prices of materials could go up. So I don't really need to replace that fence. I would like to. It's still there. It looks pretty crappy, but worst case, I just say I'll hold off for a couple of months and see what goes on. Then that's what's going to happen. So there's a stressor that's out of the control of the individual who gave me who's going to be doing the work. So that amount of stress cannot be avoided. Sometimes you just have to deal with it. It's just the way it is, and and being nimble and agile enough to say, okay, well, this isn't going to pan out, so I need to find some other work to fill the space, right? And that's one way of doing it. Or what this guy could do is put the screws to me and say, are we going ahead with this job? I need to know now. because I've got you slotted in for this specific time. So I mean that's another way to deal with that stress. But it's a stress on me too, not knowing, should I wait? I'd like to get it done, but I don't. But I mean, it's from the level of stress. It's this very small S stress. So it's not a big deal to me. But it's the way that we deal with that stress, and it's the way that we handle that stress. What do we do? What do I can choose, like you said before. What happened to you is not your responsibility or your fault, but what happened to you is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. So what happened to this contractor, it's not his fault that prices of materials may rise, but it is responsibility to deal with it. Do you think it's possible that people get stressed out because they're just apoplectic and they just sit in indecision?
Well, sure. You've got personalities that you have to deal with in there, but how do you? I'm not Jesus. I don't know how to say the perfect thing to every single person, and
Mm-hmm.
neither do you. No one does. But we ask people their opinion. Asking a question, that typically is the better way to do it versus telling. I find that most stress that's added on to life is because we didn't act on something previously.
Mm-hmm.
Not things that just happened to us, but things that we could have chosen to change.
Mm-hmm.
Easy or hard, somewhere in between. I think that's where most of stress in life comes from, is things that we could have changed to a small degree or a huge degree or somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't. That's what I think.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I suppose it's like, planning for success, but being prepared for complete disaster. So you have contingencies in place. What are it could be something is, and this sounds really, really good. But if you're a renovation contractor and you're doing a demo where you're tearing, say you're tearing like a basement apart, you're redoing a basement that's been partially finished, it's framed, board, and everything else. You can't see behind the walls, you don't know what's there, you don't know whether the foundations is cracked or anything else. So if you do the demo, wouldn't it make sense to take a pause after the demo to check everything out, to have a contingency in the plan in case the foundation is cracked, in case the wiring is bad, in case we have mold, in case we have this, in case, wouldn't that make sense? So say the demo takes 2 days. It's a large base. The third day should be inspection day. Give you a chance to catch your breath. You have a contingency inside of your contract that says, day 3, unforeseen, we'll reevaluate. That becomes a change order.
Rick, I think that's terrible advice. I think you should just put on the gas pedal and just go and never pause and just keep on moving, and then you just give the customer what you want.
Right. So, so if I had somebody come in and say, we're going to do that, I would ask why, and they would explain it to me. It's like, well, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot. So what happens if we don't find anything wrong? Then we're on schedule. And you don't have to worry about everything. So we'll just continue on. So in day 3, if we don't find that there's anything wrong there, we'll just pick up and we'll just continue on. So we may be ahead of schedule. And then you don't have to worry about that contingency fund. You don't have to worry about those types of things. But if that's not built in there, you open it up and you're like, this is horrible. And then you haven't explained to the homeowner that you've seen those home improvement shows where we discovered this while we're doing well, how could you not foresee that? They knew that was a possibility. They knew all that stuff, but they just build it in there for, increased drama. So that's, a victim of your own choices. That's all on you. So that stress is self-induced. It's just like being late, the stress of running late. That's on you.
Little side note, this is just for the contractors. In our business, we will start a job one of two ways. One is hey, this is very straightforward. There's no water damage. We're going to replace your shower, and we can see the shower right now, and then we can go in the basement. We can look up and see that there's no issues. We know what we're getting into before we open it up because we see the age of the home. We know what materials the walls are made of and things like that. I can bid that job there very confidently, and I know within $200 to $500 how much it's going to be. There's other jobs that I don't know. I
No.
just simply don't know. So we call that demo and discovery.
Yeah.
Just exactly what Rick just described, but we call it demo and discovery. We're going to open, Mrs. Smith, we're going to, let's say it's a $40,000 job. We're going to charge you $4,000, 10% of the job. And here's the agreement. Here's what we're going to do. And as soon as we demo that and sweep it up, we're going to stop. We're going to pull you into the bathroom and show you what we found in the work area. And, here's what we do. Here's what we recommend. And if you've done things right, you've already planted that seed of if this is what we find, this is how we're going to move forward. If we find this other thing, here's how we should move forward. And you have financially planned for those contingencies so that you can tell them, hey, it's between 16,000 and 32,000. And if the customer's fine with that, great. That or whatever 40,000 that I gave, you get the idea.
No.
That the contractor's not out any money for the demo and discovery because they just got paid $4,000. You for that 4,000, you're not just demo and discovery. You've also got a written agreement. You've got insurance coverages. You've got cleanup. You still got to go to the dump. You got all these other things. So worst case scenario, Mrs. Smith says, "Hey, after that $4,000 is spent, I can't do anything." Well, hopefully you've spoken to her about that prior to starting the job. But a demo and discovery, you know what I'm talking about now. Do that in your business if you don't know the answers. Very seldom do we as contractors get a chance to go in and everything's already gutted for us to know the approach. So tell your customers what you know, but I think even more importantly is tell them what you don't know. You don't want to be a know-it-all, and I think that builds trust more than anything. Rick, I'm sorry, I don't know what we're going to find there, but here's why we're going to open it up. And the second that we open this thing up, I'm going to pull you in and you will see what we see. And then we can make that plan to move forward. Does that sound good? Does it make sense to get the agreement signed now so we can move forward? And there you go.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And it's something that needs to be done on a consistent basis. So with this is why if you phone up home service companies, the good ones will not give you a price on what it costs to do service in your home. They will tell you it costs X amount of dollars to get a licensed, qualified, fully stocked service vehicle to your home to assess the situation and give you a price. Can you give me a ballpark estimate? No. It will cost X amount of dollars, and some companies will waive that fee if you go ahead with the work.
We do that too. We do that, a version of that. We do that too.
Some companies don't. So electrical is the one that always amazes me. How much does it cost to hang a ceiling fan? Well, there's a lot of variables. Well, what do you mean? I already have a light.
You have two hot wires up there. Do we want independent switching of the fan and the light? Do you want three-way control? So your fan, you want control of the light and the fan from two different locations.
Yeah. Is the box rated for a ceiling fan?
Yeah.
I don't know. And so that's why. So this is where electrical is different because you cannot see it. It is just, it's not like plumbing where it's like, oh, the water's coming through there. Leak is probably over here. Or HVAC. If the room is really cold, okay, we've got a problem with something. I mean, it is a very difficult skill to master. It's a very difficult trade to do. Sometimes a diagnostic on an electrical system takes a long time. So if you have a problem, it can take a very long time to figure out. So don't be surprised if they have what's called a dispatch fee, a diagnostic fee, service fee, call out fee, whatever it is. They're going to charge that. So don't be surprised. Good companies will do that. The company that says to you, and this is where for a contractor, if somebody calls you up and says, and this will cause you stress to no end. Rob, how much does it cost to do X, Y, whatever? And you say, Rick, between $500 and $800. What number do I hear?
500.
500. I don't hear the 800. I heard 500. So that's why you don't give out ranges for service work. You can give them out when you're there, or if somebody's asking for a full-blown $40,000 washroom, and and they give you some information, you say, well, based on what you're telling me, based on the photos that I've seen, based on this, you're in and around this range. Is that within your budget? That's fine. Because people say, oh no, I don't want to spend that kind of money. Great, then no harm, no foul. So you can completely stress out yourself and your clients by giving a price out over the phone. Don't give prices out over the phone. We don't do that. And if your client insists on a price, do not give it to them. There is a story, there is something you can handle if you are the owner of the company. If somebody insists on a price, you tell them it's going to be $10,000 or $100,000. What, to put in a ceiling fan? Yeah, it's going to cost you $10,000, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through every possible scenario, what it would happen to put that ceiling fan in. I'm going to buy every possible part that I need, load everything up. I'm going to bring a trailer, I'm going to bring a ladder, I'm going to be this and that, chain, I'm going to bring everything with me.
Chain.
And then I'll bring a scissor lift just in case it's in an area that I can't reach with my ladder. I'm going to bring scaffold. I'm going to bring everything I could possibly need to put in that $150 ceiling fan that you bought. And then when I find out what it is, I'm going to have to return all the stuff that I didn't use. So if you want a price, it's going to be $10,000. And then say, well, that's ridiculous. And yes, I agree, it is ridiculous. That's why we charge a service fee, a diagnostic fee to come out and assess the situation and give you a firm price right then and there. Would you like morning or afternoon? That's how you do it. So if you show up and you've given somebody a price and you get there and it's not anything that close to it, what you thought it would be, of course you're going to stress out you're going to stress out your client, you're going to stress out everybody, you're going to stress out everybody involved in the whole process. So those are the levels of stress that you can deal with. The levels of stress that get you completely apoplectic is when like you said earlier, about not planning, not putting things in place to make sure that your business is set up for long-term success, which is knowing what to charge, knowing what your prices are, and all that other stuff, not tracking it, not having somebody go through your financials. And then 2, 3, 4, 5 years later down the road, you're so far in the hole with your taxes and revenue of vendors and everything else that you can't get out of it, and you just got to shut it down. That's a choice. That's because you haven't planned for it. And yet there is it is on you, the business owner, not going to it blindly. You cannot open up a business and just think it's going to run along fine. You need to do the research and make sure that you've got the things in place that you need in place. SBA down in the US is amazing. Tons of valuable information from the Small Business Association. Up in Canada, the Business Development Bank of Canada has an amazing website, all full of resources that you can use. Be proactive and learn these things. There are certain levels of stress that you can control. Simple as that, right? So it is a stressful situation that we're in right now, but it is temporary. What is it? Was it Bob Proctor who said, I forget who said that, or maybe it was Napoleon Hill, who followed. So Bob Proctor built his entire success off of Think and Grow Rich. I don't know if you've ever heard the story about Bob Proctor, but Bob Proctor,
he's great.
Yeah, he took Think and Grow Rich and held that in his hand and lived his life according to Think and Grow Rich. He read it over and over and over again, every single day. So one of the lines in there is, and I screw it up, and somebody who knows far better than I will feel free to correct me. On the other side of temporary pain is a whole new year. So just get through it. Just fight down, get through it. Understand that you're in this level of stress because of choices you made or things that you've done or mistakes that you made along the way. But just know that you will get through this. And we're not talking, this is the level of stress of running a business, and it's the level of stress of going through a renovation, because I tell you, renovations are not fun. No. So anyhow,
Not if
so that's,
they're not fun, but if you have unspoken or mismanaged expectations, then it will be worse than not fun at all.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Your stress level is added as a consumer if you hire a contractor based on price alone versus word of mouth or seeing their previous work. Contractor, you can't just throw prices at the wall and
No.
expect them to stick. Um, you got to do something. But
Yeah.
planning is much better, and learning from your mistakes,
Mhm.
filtering your clients so that you're not trying to be everything to everyone, because not everybody that calls you, that raises their hand for you, is interested in your business's long-term success. They're thinking about you solving their problem. There's nothing wrong with that, but
Nope.
sometimes you've got to tell a customer no. Just like some customers have, no one listening to us right now is going to have to think about the fact that they will tell a contractor no that they don't agree with, because they know that if they hire that contractor that they don't like for whatever reason, price too high, didn't like the way they part their hair, they showed up late, never return calls, no estimate, whatever, they don't have any problem telling that customer no, because they know that it reduces their stress. You hire the wrong contractor, you're going to be totally stressed out. Ask those questions. If you work for the wrong consumer, Mr. and Mrs. Contractor out there, man, we all know what that feels like. So
Yeah.
you can
Yeah. Don't be
avoid,
afraid to.
yeah, you can avoid that stress if you are proactive in with whom you do business.
Was it Nancy Reagan who said, just say no?
I think it was a different topic, Rick, but
Yes, you can just say no. No, you don't have to do work for everybody. You don't have to,
remember
just
our conversation about true but unhelpful comments?
That's right. That's right.
No, that's right.
Oh,
Just say no. And contractors, man, that word no, that's the biggest, most powerful word in your vocabulary. I promise you. The first time that you identify the wrong type of consumer to bid to, and you tell them no because you, for whatever reason, you still ended up at their house. Fine. You see that job firsthand and what their potential or the plans they showed you or whatever. And if something's off to you, you know what, Mr. Smith, thanks for having me out. I am not the contractor for you. I cannot give you what you want. Even if they complain too much or they wanted you to do $10,000 worth of work for $5,000 or whatever, Mrs. Smith, I'm sorry, I cannot meet your needs.
no, no.
Can't
Yeah,
meet your
and
needs. That's all you have to say. Grab your coat, grab your briefcase, and out the door.
yeah, as good as everybody, you could have the best qualifying process system in the world. The odd one's going to sneak through. And if you get a bad feeling about that consumer or a bad feeling about that contractor, if you're a consumer, don't be afraid to tell that contractor, you know what, I don't think so. I'm going to go in a different direction. You don't have to give them a reason why. And the
Nope.
consumer
Nope.
and the contractor with the consumer, don't be afraid to walk away. I've done it. I remember I had the job all lined up, ready to go, and gave the guy the price, went out and had a look at it, ready to go, and then he called me and he wanted to renegotiate terms and the price and this and that. And I finally, after talking with him for a little bit, I said, you know what? I don't want to do the job for you. I'm sure there's you can.
Here's your deposit check back.
I'm sure there's other people out there that'd be more than qualified and more than happy to take on your project, but I'm just not one of them. And he was furious. because
Yeah,
I
he
told
knew
him
he
no.
couldn't open his mouth because he found somebody that he thought was cheaper and that could do the same work that you could do, and he
Yeah.
didn't want to pay you to do it.
Yep. Yep. So good. Just say no. Okay, thanks, Robert.
Thank you,
Always a
Nancy.
pleasure. Okay. Good to see you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Rick.
To learn more about Rick, go to his website, workbootconsulting.com. And to learn more about Rob, go to his website, sdlbr.com. Until next time, work on bridging that gap. Remember, it's always a two-way street.